Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. The roots of today's program were planted back in 1985. That's when the state legislature provided a $1 appropriation for the Vermont Youth Conservation Corps. Today, the VYCC is a private, nonprofit organization that teaches young people personal responsibility through meaningful work. The Youth Corps' conservation work centers around protecting our environment and improving outdoor recreation, among other things. To learn more, we start our conversation with the Executive Director of the Vermont Youth Conservation Corps, Breck Knotweed. Thank you for being with us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So just to start us off, just tell us about the Conservation Corps and what it does.
Sure. So I think VYCC is one of those great Vermont institutions. In a nutshell, we have young adults who come and work with us, and we put them to work on projects that really matter. So if you're a young person and you want to work hard and you want to be collaborative and you want to have fun and you want to make a difference, come and work for VYCC.
Be outside a little bit.
And be outside a little bit, yeah. Yeah, with the bugs and the rain and, and the grit and all that good stuff. So our model is we have small, diverse teams, and they work together. They work hard and they work long hours, but they get a lot done. Each team has really diverse, talented, dynamic leaders that are well trained, and our crews are really on the front lines of getting a lot of important things done. We'll have about 250 young people who work for us this summer. They work from the spring through the fall, and it's really more than a job. It's a really powerful learning experience.
Awesome. And was there any comparison to the Civilian Conservation Corps, or connection to that from the 1930s?
Yeah, great question. The answer is absolutely. I think VYCC and other corps are really part of a modern legacy of the Civilian Conservation Corps. When FDR created the Civilian Conservation Corps, he wanted to get a lot done, of course. But he was also really interested in building character, and he spoke about that. I think what's different about VYCC and modern corps is that they're really representing all of our society. I think the CCC was really just for men, mostly for men, but we have all of our citizens working in the corps movement now.
Great. And so these 200 or so young people are working across the state. They're learning, but they're also earning.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think both of those are really what make VYCC essential, because it is a learning experience. You learn about collaboration. You learn about basic job skills, showing up on time, having a good attitude, giving feedback, getting feedback, and it's a paying job. And because it's a paying job, it's really accessible to all socioeconomic parts of our community. And
one of the areas of emphasis right now is water quality. We certainly need you to do work on that. Yep. So tell us about what you're doing there.
Yeah. Well, in a sense, we've been working on water quality for decades, because when you build a trail, you're really thinking about the flow of water, and you're managing that when you put in a water bar. But roughly 5 years ago, we looked at this pressing environmental crisis, really, about the quality of our lake. And we said there's a role here for VYCC. So with funding from the Lintillac Foundation, with funding from the High Meadows Fund, we were able to hire a full-time water quality manager who works with a variety of different partners: Department of Environmental Conservation, regional planning commissions, municipalities, to think about and to develop and implement the projects that reduce phosphorus runoff. And so it's any number of projects: check dams, tree plantings, invasive species work, what have you.
So, well, let's take a minute to hear directly from some Youth Corps members about their work on water quality.
Great.
A water bar is a trench-ish kind of thing that directs the water from the trail off of the trail to hopefully prevent erosion.
So you generally want to put a water bar in an area where it's either at the bottom of a steep hill as to catch the swiftly moving water flowing down the hill, or you can sometimes put one at a break between two hills in a little flat spot, or at the top of one to prevent the water from going fast and eroding the hill to begin with.
In 2017, our crews planted over 10,000 trees on riparian buffer areas. With municipalities, we assessed over 400 culvert outfalls and implemented fixes on some of those. We did over 20 miles of class 4 roads. assessment and implementation of fixes there. Along with that, we installed over 400 water bars across a lot of Class 4 roads across the state.
When you're starting the water bar, well, this is kind of already one, and it's kind of a ditch already. Normally it's flat through here, and you'll just like go along the sides and just hit like to make like the lines on both sides, and then just dig out the center.
So this here is the MC Cloud, is the McCloud, or the MC Cloud as we like to call it. It's useful for breaking up soil that's compacted, and also the other side is good for dragging it out of the water bar. So it's a pretty useful tool for just clearing out the inside bit of the water bar to make the trench actually flow.
The bus always tells me to lie down in these to make sure they're okay.
Okay.
So I usually just lie down.
Relax.
Is
Awesome.
it comfy?
Yeah.
That's a successful water bar.
One of the big approaches in Vermont right now is dealing with non-point source pollution and erosion. It comes from a lot of different places. It's a difficult fix because it's very diffuse. There's not one place you can look to find the main source of this pollution. We do a lot of work with municipalities working on roads and culverts, so stormwater infrastructure where a lot of water is being collected and it can cause a lot of erosion during storm events. So our crews are really well suited to go in and help implement some of these fixes. We can work on culverts, preventing erosion. We do a lot of work on Class 4 roads and trails, digging water bars and controlling some of that stormwater runoff and reducing erosion. All these projects are sort of small pieces of the bigger goal of cleaning up, rehabilitating, reclaiming our water resources across the state. My name's Justin, and we'll see you out there.
We are Chicago, and we'll see you out there. Wait.
Great crew. So once again, that's some of the water quality work being done by the Vermont Youth Conservation Corps around the state. To learn more, I want to introduce two VYCC interns, Kayla Riker and Rose Nixon. Kayla and Rose are both students at UVM, and they've each worked on water quality projects. So welcome to you both.
Thank you.
So Kayla, let's start with you. You've been involved in the creation of some rain gardens in Montpelier and in Burlington. So tell us a little bit about rain gardens.
So the purpose of rain gardens is to mitigate what we call stormwater runoff. So we have these large storms that are happening and we have water running across our land, and it picks up all these pollutants and nutrients and all things that we don't want in our water, whether drinking it or whether for our different species out there. So these rain gardens actually collect that water and they absorb all those minerals and nutrients that these plants actually need. And instead of letting them flow into mostly like Lake Champlain,
Right.
they're actually
Via the
staying in there.
roads and stuff,
Exactly.
right.
So they're creating these really lush gardens. And so what VYCC does is we partnered with Burlington and Montpelier and different municipalities there. And we were able to plant these different gardens with a certain plan to kind of make the maximum usage of our gardens and really pull all that water and all those nutrients out.
Awesome, thank you. And Rose, you spent last summer as the water quality intern that we heard about. There is such a position now. So talk a little bit about what you learned and where you might take it after graduation.
Yeah, so I worked a lot with the crews and a lot of the partners and all sorts of different people throughout the organization, and I think it gave me a really great basis to just work with different types of people. And so that was really important just in a general sense, and then it was really great to work on projects like making water bars or other best management practices for watersheds that weren't super sciencey. It was pretty accessible to a lot of people, and so it was a really great medium to be able to communicate science to other people.
Because that's really important too. Have people really understand what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Exactly.
What we need to do. Really exciting. So after graduation?
Who knows?
Maybe in this field, maybe not?
I think it would great possibility, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thanks to both of you. And we're going to go to one more aspect of improving water quality is removing invasive species that impact our water health. And a case in point is the Japanese knotweed. Let's hear from Youth Corps members who are working to remove invasives from the Mad River watershed.
My name is Cameron. I'm from Moortown, which is like
6 miles from here. And we're cutting the roots off with the knotweed because the roots like have energy in the knotweed.
We just want to dig out as much of the roots as possible in order to hopefully prevent it from growing back, but there's no definites.
From the roots, it can just shoot up more plants. So by taking out the roots, you're like eliminating the power because like each little piece of root can make a whole nother plant.
Our thanks to VYCC interns Kayla Riker and Rose Nixon for being with us. In the meantime, for the time we have remaining, rejoining us is Breck Knopft. He is the executive director of VYCC. So thank you for coming back. And so a lot of us still think of this as just being about trails and making trails, which is awesome. But what else does the Youth Corps do?
Great question. I think a lot of people do think of us as just trails. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about the farm at VYCC. So on our 400-acre campus in Richmond, we have a fully diversified vegetable and poultry farm that has
a beautiful monitor barn you can see
beautiful
from
monitor barns.
89.
Yes. So as you're driving down 89 and you look to your left, you'll see our campus.
So sorry, go ahead.
But the farm at VYCC is really this great example of agricultural innovation and service, and only in Vermont, right?
Yeah.
Where our core members grow food, about 100,000+ pounds of food each year, that's then distributed to medical centers, and the medical centers have identified patients or families who have real distinct medical needs.
So maybe we'll get you back about that. It's so awesome.
Okay.
But information that people can find about VYCC or open positions you might have.
So you can go to our website, vycc.org, or online at social media at the VYCC.
Okay, or call that number. Look them up.
Yeah.
So awesome. I'm sorry we are all out of time. Breck Knopft from the Vermont Youth Conservation Corps, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us on Across the Fence. I'm Fran Stoddard.